What is up, Ravens flock? James Haskell, Glenn Martin, and our friend and not even guest on the show anymore. Just our friend who graces us with his presence, Tony Thornton. You guys have probably heard him a time or two if you live around the area. Tony, we're here for another live show to preview this Baltimore Ravens Minnesota Vikings matchup. How are the both of you gentlemen doing on a Friday evening such as this?
Such as this. Doing well. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. I love that such as this, man. Excited to have football back again. 2 weeks, man. It's tough to do without.
Yeah, this is my favorite time of the year. Love the fall weather, and obviously it's football season, so I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Man, I can't wait to get this thing going. Like you guys said, in my job, we do highs and lows, and my weekly low was it was a bye week. There was no Ravens game, but now, like you said, Tony, ramping up to this game.
But Jimmy, while it was a bye, that bye could not have gone better for the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. I mean, not only
absolutely
do the Bengals lay an absolute egg going up to New York, and it really it got compounded. That bad loss was compounded by the fact that they got the Jets turned around, got their doors blown off last night by Indy. So it really made that loss from the Bengals even worse. I mean, you're losing to a team that really has no chance of competing at any level there. So it was really all. And then of course the Browns losing to the Steelers. Everything's really lining up perfectly right now for the Ravens to go ahead and grab that AFC North.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And all we got to do is we got to do our job, right? At the end of the day, do our job. The control AFC North and the destiny of the Baltimore Ravens lays solely in our hands. So our goal tonight is to talk about it's one game at a time. We can look ahead as fans, but we got to look at the next game coming up. And of course, that next game coming up is the Minnesota Vikings. So we're going to get right into that. And as always in these preview shows, guys, the best place to start that Glenn and I have learned as we've been breaking down these games, we're 3 years deep in this now, Glenn. 3 years deep on the show. And so we've broken down a game or two. The best place to start is who's going to be playing. I mean, it's simply that to start the conversation, that's what you got to know. Because you can spend 20 minutes talking about someone who's not going to be playing. So we're going to start with the Vikings, and Tony's going to break it down for us and talk to us about who's been practicing, who's expected to be playing, who's out, things of that nature. Tony, take it away, my man.
Yeah, let's talk about that because there's some key injuries that could really bode in our favor. Defensive end Desean Hunter is out on IR, so he is out for quite some time. So that's a huge loss for the Vikings on the defensive side of the ball. There was some folks in limited practice this week. Anthony Barr, outside linebacker, as well as Cameron Dantzler, cornerback, had an ankle issue. He was limited in practice yesterday, and I believe as well today as they look to travel tomorrow to come to Baltimore. Another big loss on the offensive side of the ball, guys, is Garrett Bradbury, their center. He's on the COVID-19 protocol, or the IR, if you will. So that's a huge loss for them in terms of just calling plays, helping Kirk out, just looking at some of those defensive alignments. And, of course, we know this guy, Michael Pierce, former Baltimore Raven defensive tackle. He is out as well for this game. So the middle of both their offensive and defensive lines are really going to be hurting in this game. They really got beat up by Dallas last week. So certainly those are some key ones there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Desean Hunter is, when he's healthy, I think he's maybe the most underrated pass rusher in the entire league. This guy is an absolute stud. He's one of those guys that a lot of people compared or we're hoping to compare Owe to, because like Owe, he didn't have a ton of sack success in his final year in college. But as soon as he got to the league, the guy's a double-digit sack machine. And this year, in fact, he has already 6 sacks, right before the injury. So that's a huge loss for them. And then, of course, losing their center. I mean, this guy has started every game since he's been there the last 3 years. So to lose your center on offense and your primary pass rusher on defense is certainly a tough loss for the Vikings.
Well, and then, before we get over to the other side of the coin, it goes even deeper than that. Like if you look at it holistically, obviously you guys named all the names, but if you look at their defensive front period, right, it's similar to when a whole defensive unit ends up with COVID, right? Like Anthony Barr, Everson Griffin, Michael Pierce, and then you talked about Desean Hunter. I mean, goodness, could it be any worse for these guys? That's a really tough situation to be put in. So certainly something to keep an eye on. But with that being said, Glenn, let's get over to our Baltimore Ravens, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, it's nothing that should be that surprising. So Latavius Murray's still out, not practicing just yet. So no surprise there. Offensive lineman Patrick McCarry still dealing with the ankle injury, and that's a little scary because right tackle, it's gonna be a dicey situation. Tyler Huntley's still out with an illness. Not sure what that illness is. I'm worried because he's a quarterback. And, I don't want any close contact, anything like that when you see illness. But I'm sure if he had COVID, we would be made aware of that. So I guess we can just say he's dealing with a bug or something like that.
Yeah, with COVID, HIPAA doesn't apply, so we'd be made aware for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the last minute changes.
That was just a joke.
That's okay. One of the last minute changes I did hear, I think it just came out late today, that Tyler Huntley will be that second quarterback. So he will be available for Sunday. So whatever illness it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
so he just had the bubble guts or something.
Yeah,
the BGs. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Brandon Williams,
but you're right though, Glenn. That was a late situation. I think early on it was kind of dicey there with him.
Gotcha. And ideally, you don't want to see Tyler Huntley this Sunday. So hopefully that's inconsequential, the fact that he missed a couple days. But the good news is Brandon Williams was able to get in a limited practice today, which is a big get because, I mean, they can't afford to lose that guy, even though, a lot of fans, even ourselves, have kind of looked at this year as a bit of a disappointment, for him. We certainly would like to have him out there rather than not have him. And then also in another bit of good news, Sammy Watkins back at practice after dealing with the thigh injury for a couple weeks. Man, it would be nice to see our full complement of receivers on the field at the same time. And it looks like this Sunday is the first opportunity we might see that.
Yeah, I was going to say also, Rashad Bateman had a little bit of a growing pull. And I was and I was concerned because I really wanted to see this full complement, but I believe that he is going to play. He may be limited, but again, to your point, Glenn, it will be great to see the full set of wide receivers finally on the field at the same time. And that's something that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Let me hurry up and change my offensive player of the game because I don't like hearing that.
Yeah, it's worrisome. I mean, they got him as questionable. But if Sammy does return, do you guys think it makes it more likely that the coaches might give Bateman a week just to make sure we don't see any reoccurring injuries?
Yeah, I would say if I was if I was making that decision, that's certainly something that that I would probably wait another week because again, you're thinking about ahead. You're talking about a short week now. And going on the road against Miami, maybe have him ready for that game on Thursday night. So it's interesting. So we'll see. But from what I've been hearing is that he will play. And it looks like just heard now that the Tyler Huntley deal was only strep throat. So that's good news there. But again, but Bateman, I think if I was the organization, I would probably wait until Thursday night against the Dolphins and hold him out because you have Sammy back. And Sammy's been productive this year.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. When he's on the field, he shows his worth, no doubt about it. And Lamar obviously trusts him. He goes to him in big situations. Yeah. So, all right, Jimmy, I'm coming to you now. We got to start talking some numbers. Now, if you don't have the numbers, I do have them.
Yeah. You're doing numbers tonight, my man.
You want me to do them? Okay.
Yeah, you're the numbers cruncher tonight, man.
That's cool. All right. Sounds good to me. All right. So. When you look at the Vikings, I guess we'll start on the defensive side of the ball. First of all, I want to highlight a couple players that you got to really be on the lookout for. So if Danielle Hunter, we know now Danielle Hunter won't be playing this game or any game this season. So the guy you got to watch for as far as pass rush is Everson Griffin. The guy looks to be back in old form. I think he missed a year. Was he one of the people who sat out for COVID?
I don't think so. I think it was just Pierce.
Okay. Yeah, I know Pierce sat out. Okay. But Griffin's got 5 sacks already this year. So while Danielle Hunter was their leading sack guy at 6, right on his heels is Everson Griffin.
It's a good thing I didn't bet on double-digit sacks for him, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think you're but you never know, Jimbo. I mean, you never do know. These older guys, they start to peter out down the exactly.
Yeah,
we've seen that certainly here in Baltimore. And then Harrison Smith, He's been a stud safety since he's got there, and he continues to be, even though he's getting a little bit older. He is still someone you certainly have to watch for on the back end of that defense. But then as far as them as a team, they're a pretty good defense. I mean, they got some players that you have to watch out for, and they can really get it together. So right now on the season, they give up on average 22.4 points per game, and they've given up a total of 16 touchdowns so far. As far as their passing defense, they've given up 1,700 yards through the air, and their rush defense, they've given up 846. But most importantly is their yards per attempt. They give up 4.6 yards per attempt on the ground. So while that's not horrendous, that certainly gives a little bit of an opportunity that maybe the Ravens can get this run attack back on the right track after it seems like it's disappeared since week 3 is really the last time we saw a decent performance from a running back. So hopefully they can get that back on track. When I look at their team, they got 24. They've given up. I'm sorry. They've gotten 10 sacks on the as a team. No, hold on.
Yeah, they'll say it because they already have 11 between the two, right?
20.
Yeah, they had 3 sacks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they had 3 sacks last week against the Cowboys. So
so they can get to the quarterback. It's not just Danielle Hunter. It's not just Everson Griffin. They get to the quarterback. I mean, even Michael Pierce. I mean, of course, we don't have to worry about him this game either. But that guy. Man, do you guys ever wonder if the Ravens made the wrong decision keeping Brandon Williams and allowing Michael Pierce to go? When he's on the field, look, when he was here, 3 of the 4 years he was here, we had a top 5 run defense, and he provides some pressure on the quarterback from the interior. Do you ever think if we gave some true serum to DaCosta, he might say he may have made the wrong decision there? What do you think, Tony?
I mean, that's a tough call because it almost appears Brandon Williams has fallen off of a really steep cliff this year because he was kind of productive. Again, he wasn't necessarily known for his pass rush, but known for that run stuffing ability that he's had. Michael Pierce was more versatile in that regard. I mean, that's tough to say. I just think, Brandon Williams, I think this year, and you can tell he's taken a lot of time off in terms of practicing. I noticed that he's always on the veterans list of not practicing during the week. So, age, father time, it's starting to creep up. And I think that's why it's important that we continue to develop depth there with these young guys going forward. But no, I don't know if he's scratching his head. But again, Michael Pierce certainly has shown leaving the team that he can certainly do well in a different format and a different city. So yeah, it's probably questionable. Probably.
So I want to say something here. I've been listening to Glenn and DK talk about Brandon Williams. I've decided I'm going to make a declaration. I won't have Brandon Williams slander any longer. This is why. One of the things I love about Brandon Williams is that the dude is all hustle. I've never seen a guy as big as him tackle players, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends from behind on the sideline. He's chasing down quarterbacks. He is a bowling ball.
Now you've seen Elodie Nada. Come on now.
That's true, but that's true. That is true. That's not fair. That's not fair.
I know how much you love Elodie. That's why I knew I'd bring him up.
That's true. You're right. Elodie to me is in a class of his own, right? Like there's anyway. So my point is that so to answer your question, Glenn, I think the biggest problem with Pierce was the concerns with his weight. I think
he's about a Diet Coke away from $400.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if he didn't have the concerns with his weight and have the issues early on in his career, they might have been more willing to give him that money. I think, and invest in him instead of Brandon. But I'll also say that I will just invite you guys in this game to keep mental note of the amount of times that Brandon Williams is hustling to that. But whether he gets he gets the credit for the tackle or not, that he's hustling on the second level plays. Just saying, trying to defend old number 98.
Okay.
So I think the decision was made. A lot of it had to do with his weight, but I do agree that Pierce is a better pass rusher as far as getting actual pressure on the quarterback.
No doubt. Yeah. He's got 2 sacks this year. I think that would be a career high for Brandon Williams. And he's only played in 4 games, Michael Pierce. So, that he definitely provides more pass rush. Another guy you got to look out for is Kendricks, the linebacker. He leads the team in tackles with 66, but he's a stat filler. He's also got 3 sacks. He's got an interception. He's got 3 pass breakups. He's got a fumble recovery. I mean, the guy just can do a lot of different things to disrupt an offense. So, they got some talent, man. They got some good players. Tomlinson's another D tackle that can really stuff the run. He'll be out there. So even though they're missing Pierce, they'll have Tomlinson out there who can do similar things. So they got a pretty good defense. The Ravens offense has got to show up.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be an intriguing
Yeah,
matchup.
I almost feel that Mike Zimmer, and I think that he's one of the guys. I almost think that Mike Zimmer is on the hot seat this year, and the reason for it is that there's a plethora of talent, not only on the defensive side of the ball. We'll get to the offensive side, and this is where I think Mike Zimmer is starting to lose it. Not only with again, I've been hearing a lot from Vikings fans who I know are coming down for this game as well, and they're really starting to lose faith in his coaching ability, not necessarily his coaching ability, but just motivating these guys to play better. So that's, again, we know about the talent on the defensive side as well as the skill position players on the offensive side. But a lot of fans feel like this team right now is underachieving and not playing to their potential. So it's interesting to see, especially last week, that Dallas loss was a huge, huge loss for the Vikings because of not only, losing to a second string quarterback, basically, but giving up a lot of yards in the air. So it was, again, the Vikings fans are sort of leery now about their coach, and we'll see how this bodes in the future.
Yep, absolutely. So let's get over to the other half of this matchup here, Glenn, and we'll give our offensive players of the game and things of that nature. But let's break down some stats here if you got some stuff for us as far as where the Baltimore Ravens at. Of course, this is a moving thing because we do this week by week. So where are we at from a statistical standpoint as far as the Baltimore Ravens go?
Yeah, right now, third in the league offensively in total yards. They average 417.6 yards per game. But that's behind only the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Dallas Cowboys, who lead the way. And then passing yards. Let's see. Right now they have 1,877 passing yards, about middle of the pack, a little bit higher than middle of the pack. As far as, offensive ranks, they average 268 through the air per game. And then rushing the ball, one of the more deceiving numbers, but they are dropping. So while they were up at number one early, and then they've just slowly gone the wrong direction. So right now they're
this
just
is how my semesters start. I get all excited. I sit in the front row, and then it's a precipitous drop.
Plummets. Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Just hang on with your fingernails,
And they better get this turned around because, on the surface, when you look at it, and they average 149 and a half on the ground, that is light years behind what we're used to seeing from this Ravens offense. We're consistently up near the 200 mark over the last couple years. So the fact that they're down at 149, and really, I don't really see that number flipping unless Lamar can make that number flip. I just don't feel like these running backs and this offensive line can get it done. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they can swing it around because it's looking scary right now. But But
I was
the
going
big
to say,
thing, go ahead, Tony.
Oh, go ahead. So, and Glenn, this is really where you want to highlight why J.K. Dobbins and Gus were two huge losses, and to me, those were the two most important losses in terms of that. We had a lot of guys on IR to start the season, but those two guys, that's who we miss. We missed the burst, we missed the speed, we missed that hitting the holes. We missed that. And I think that this running game, if it recovers anything, I don't think it's ever going to get back into the top five because of these players that we have now. We have some guys that are just not going to do it, but that's what we miss, and that's going to be critical down the stretch. I didn't mean to cut you off, Glenn. I just think this is where the fans need to understand this running game will probably not be where you expect it to be because of those two losses.
Yeah, no doubt. Jimmy, were you kind of surprised? Did you kind of think that this run game was, a little bit more plug and play than it's starting to show?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also thought that Latavius Murray could be, you talked about Diet Coke, so I'll continue the comparison, but I thought he could be a Diet Coke version of Gus Edwards, right? But it really, Tony said it. It shows the talent of those two guys, specifically in this instance, Gus Edwards, where Latavius Murray and him have similar styles, but Gus Edwards to me is in a totally different stratosphere than Latavius Murray. So no knock on Latavius, he's doing his job. He's just not Gus Edwards. So while Gus would rather be out there, and he's sitting home with his money, he's got to sit there and I got some job security after this. Certainly. So yeah, it's definitely a tough one. And I'm surprised by it. I was expecting a little bit more based on Roman's ability to do this in other teams and in the past. So for sure.
Yeah, I thought with Lamar and with Greg Roman that
right.
not to the same level, but I thought we'd have more success.
Top five, you probably,
right.
I think I thought the same thing. Definitely a top five.
And they're certainly outside of that right now. And
any
as far
chance
as points,
though that how do you feel? Tony said he thinks there's no way. Is there any chance we end up in the top five? Like that these guys turn around? You think we just don't have the horses?
I don't see it. I mean, unless again, I think all is possible with Lamar Jackson. So there's always the possibility that he could break one and carry this rush attack.
That sounded like a scripture from the book of Lamar, chapter 1, verse 1.
Dude.
All is possible with Lamar Jackson.
It truly is. I mean, he can do it all. So I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him single-handedly carry the Ravens into top five. But outside of that, I have zero confidence that the running back crew could carry us into that top five. I just don't see the burst. I don't see the vision from these guys. I've been a little impressed in spots from really all these guys, but it's been fleeting. It's been in and out, and then I'm not really seeing. I wouldn't mind seeing Nate McCrary. I mean, let's see what the young guys got. I think that might have been the first bit of bad blood between Denver and Baltimore when they snatched McCrary up off of our practice squad, or before we could put him on the practice squad. I think that's where it all started with Vic Fangio.
And we got him back.
Yeah, exactly. Now we got him back, and Vic Fangio's on his way to the unemployment line when the season's over. And but most importantly, points per game, the Ravens rank 9th right now. They average 26.7 points per game. So yeah, I mean, the overall top 10 in almost every category. So offensively, not a ton to complain about, but I think we all want to see a little more consistency from these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me as well, you're talking about consistency. My offensive key to the game is starting early, a quick punch to the mouth. And I say quick, but what I mean is that early in the game, it doesn't have to be a quick drive. In fact, I would prefer that it's a methodical Baltimore Ravens, wear you out, demoralize you, take your will, snatch your heart right out of your chest in the first drive, right? Like a 6-minute, 15-play, just a gross, slow, boring to watch drive until we punch it in for 7, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see. So that's my offensive key to the game. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I was going to say, I know we talked about the run game. Get it.
Geez. No, go ahead. I just realized I took your key.
No, that's okay. No, you didn't. Get the run game going early. At least make those attempts. Show you can do it, whether it's, the quarterback keepers, use whatever you can do to kind of really grind this game out and start early. But to your point, a fast start, use screen passes, use passes to the flat, use a Duvernay, use Prochet with short screens and short passes. Do something to kind of move the ball besides, being so predictable where you're going to step back in the pocket, Lamar, and just kind of stand there for a minute and kind of wait for somebody to get open. Run the ball, try to get that going early so you can establish that. So that would be one of my offensive keys to the game, to kind of get that going early.
Like it.
Gotcha. Yeah, mine is just balance. I want to see a game where we see success through the air and on the ground. I mean, it just seems like we're kind of one or the other this year outside of the Chiefs game maybe. But every other game, it's been either through the air or on the ground. And I want to see a game where we see both. I want to see, some balance here. So that's my key to the game is let's get back to a balanced offense. And I think that'll go a long way in getting a W this Sunday. How about you,
Glenn,
DK? Yeah.
Oh, so Glenn, I was going to ask you, as far as you got your key to the game, who's your offensive breakout player of the game?
Yeah, mine is Mark Andrews. And maybe this is a cheap one and it's easy, but that's fine. I'm going to take it because this guy is an absolute stud. And maybe I made him just so I could really highlight him. This guy, we talked before the season and even last season that we always, say 3 or 4, ranking wise in tight ends in the league. We always say he's either 3rd or 4th behind.
Did he break through, Glenn?
Right now, he's the clear-cut number 1. I mean, it's not even debatable. Kelce
looks old.
He's having a rough year. Last game was tough to watch. He was dropping balls. He had a critical fumble.
Looks uninterested.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up with like 2 catches for like a handful of yards. Kittle can't stay on the field, and his quarterback situation's a mess anyway. So I think that's kind of knocking him down. Of course, Waller's still a very talented player and getting it done. But if you look at the numbers, if you look at any of the unbiased rankings, I mean, he is so – just look at PFF. He is so far and away the best tight end this year. It's not even debatable. And you look at the next-gen stats, he's the most dominant player inside the hashes in the league. I mean, this guy has just been next-level stud, and it's nice because for a while, when we were seeing guys signing extensions, we were seeing them getting hurt and being gone. And hold on, let me knock on some wood. But I mean, I remember Stanley right after.
Speak those words.
Yeah, I know. I'm knocking on wood. Don't worry. But I remember Stanley. It was like 5 days after his extension. Boom, he's gone. And now we see how that is. Then Gus Edwards, he got that great extension. Boom, he goes down. It was like everybody we were paying was going down. Well, not this guy. This guy has been an absolute stud all year. And I think right now, it'd be hard to argue anyone else is playing better than him at that position.
I love it. And I couldn't disagree with him. Doesn't Kelsey seem like the type of guy that when things would start going bad, he would start like.
Yeah. He's also getting a lot more noticeable now. Like a lot of teams are playing him and making sure that they take him away. So that's happening right now with Kelsey.
Yeah. Who you got, Tony?
I really can't add much more. I can't add much more to what Glenn has said because Glenn is absolutely correct. And I'm not going to say that much about it because I know we need to move on. But Mark Andrews is an absolute stud. He's on pace right now to get 1,300 yards as a tight end for the season. And to me, he's the guy that I expect to really have a big game this particular Sunday. And I agree with you, Glenn. Everything you said, I echo all of that.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you guys, and I love the declaration that he's the best tight end in the league. We should make a shirt that says tight end 1, TE1 for Mark Andrews. For sure, he's worthy of it. But for my breakout player of the game, I'm going off the beaten path a little bit, going to the wily vet, and that is Sammy Watkins. At the beginning of the season, he was tuning up, got a little hurt, he's got a little rest. I think he comes out there firing on all cylinders. I think the other team is looking at Bateman, is looking at Hollywood, is looking at Mark and Lamar. And here comes old Sammy reminding people that he's still a number one wide receiver. He's going to burn somebody a few times, going to shake somebody a few times. And I'm calling 2 touchdowns for Sammy Watt, breaking out in this game, coming back a little fresh. So I'm going Sammy Watkins. All right, so let's move over to the other side of the coin. And get to the Vikings offense versus the Ravens defense. Glenn, we're going to come back to you as far as these stats from the Vikings offense. Relatively high power. Well, a lot of names there. I don't know if I'm going to classify them as a high-powered offense, but a lot of names. So let's get into their stats and talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so right now, the Vikings, you're right. They are loaded with skill position talent. There is no doubt about it. They are 7th right now in the league as far as yards per game, averaging 394. And as far as passing goes, they're the same spot. They're 9th in the league, averaging 270 through the air. And then rushing the ball, still very, very, they just got talent everywhere. It's really hard to really pinpoint why they don't always seem to have that same success in the win-loss column, because I mean they are they're loaded. I mean they're loaded with talent. I think it would say 11th or 12th in rushing yards per game at 124 on the ground, and then points per game. Let's see, Vikings. There we go. Vikings it looks like they're in the lower half, around 18 to 19, averaging 23.3 a game. So what that tells me is they got all the talent in the world. They got the players. I mean, they got Kirk Cousins, who on the year, he has 1,900 yards passing through the air, 14 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. So the guy hangs onto the ball. He doesn't turn the ball over. This isn't a guy who's careless with the ball. If he makes a mistake, you better take advantage of it and catch it. If you see a ball coming your way and you're a corner or you're a safety or anyone, and if it hits your hands, you better pull it in because you're probably not going to get another opportunity yet. This guy is very careful with the ball. And I know Jimmy's not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan, but he's always been a guy who's been pretty careful with the ball. So to that, that certainly goes to his credit. And then Dalvin Cook averaging 4.5 on the ground per carry this year. He's got 444 yards so far. Does have 2 fumbles, so he will, cough the ball up if you, hit it in the right spot. And then through the air, it's odd here. These 2 guys, Jefferson and Thielen, are one of the best duos in all of football. There's just no doubt about it. They are a stud group right there, and they do it in different ways. Jefferson is more of their volume guy. He gets a little bit more targets, has more yards, and usually more receptions. And the same, the same can be said. He's got 43 catches, 563 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But Thielen is their touchdown guy. He's got 6 touchdowns already. He had 14 receiving touchdowns last year. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's
Fantasy
got 40.
guy.
Yeah, and I had him, so I certainly reap the
go.
benefits. And he's got 43 catches as well and 471 yards through the air. So they got talent. It's everywhere. Dalvin Cook. I mean, Thielen, Jefferson. Even their tight end, Conklin. I mean, they got some guys out there that can really move the chains and get in the end zone. So the Ravens, they're going to have to cover. They're going to have to tackle, which gets into our defensive key, if you guys are ready for that. Tackling. Tackle, Jimmy. Yep. Can they tackle this week? Any confidence that they – because you said it in our last show. If they just tackle in the Bengals game, it's a totally different
it's a competitive football game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am in wait-and-see mode, so right now I'm not very confident. So what am I trying to say? I'm confident that the ability is there. I'm not confident whether or not it will happen. I'm totally in wait-and-see, prove-it-to-me mode. And look, I just really quickly take a step back. I'm absolutely not a big fan of Kirk Cousins. I'm not a believer. I don't think he'll ever get it done in crunch time, and I don't think he'll ever make a deep playoff run.
Between him and Baker, which one? Which one is
which one do I hate more?
Which one? Because you have both of those guys are in your,
So Kirk and Baker are two different types of idiots in my mind. Like,
wow.
But Baker just never is. I mean, he literally thinks he's God's gift to the NFL, and it's exhausting to watch. And like the Dundalk duster above his mouth doesn't help. Like
Dundalk duster.
All of it. I can't stand any of it. So
I just want to say
this about Kirk Cousins, and this is the reason I'm not a fan. Okay, but I'm not going to get too far into it. My patronage, I'm a loyal patron to the brands I like, to the teams I like, but you got to earn my patronage, right? So he hasn't done. Tell me one thing that would make him worthy of my patronage. I'll give you a perfect example. I don't go to Royal Farms. You know why I don't go to Royal Farms? Because I go to Wawa, not Royal Farms, because they put free air, the air pumps for your tires, and half the stupid nozzles are broken, and they know it. They don't fix the
more than half.
Yeah, they just have you pull up like an idiot when it's 20 degrees outside, get out your car to pump up your tires, and the dumb thing doesn't work. You'll never find a broken one at Wawa's, okay? So that's my old man get off my porch. But the point is, that's why I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy. He's never given me anything to believe in. So
I think he gets a little unfairly criticized. Let me just say this, Jimmy. Last year, he had 35 touchdowns, 13 picks, threw for 4,200 yards, and had a 67.
Oh, you're going to make me sound like Stephen A. right now.
All I'm saying is every year since 2015, he had 29 touchdowns, 25, 27, 30, 26, and 35. The guy, if you can't, I mean, get it. He has moments where he flinches. He gets razzled by the pass rush. But the guy's been pretty consistent over his career.
Yeah, I would say I think he's talented. I think there's talent there, obviously, but he's not what I would consider a winner. As someone that really puts it on his shoulders when it counts and makes the plays to win. He'll get you the stats from the first quarter to the third quarter. He looks good on paper. And I think that's where I think Jimmy is kind of concerned. Like, this guy just puts up stats. And I think he's just not the guy that's going to take you to the next step. If that was the case with those numbers, Glenn, this team should be more successful than they are in terms of the regular season. So, and I think that's why Mike Zimmer right now is on the hot seat for this team. So I would agree with that, Jimmy, to a certain degree. I think Cousins, though, is talented. I mean, he's a talented guy, but it's just a matter of can you turn that into wins later in the season when you need them. They're in a tough division per se. They've always been with the Packers. Maybe not the tough. I think about it, not a tough division, but they always have to compete with the Packers, and I get that. But it's just one of those kind of things where they have to. Kirk has to get them over the top, and he hasn't done it.
Yeah, and I'll say that bodes right into my key to the game. I won't belabor the point anymore, so Tony can give his as well. But mine is turn this game into Kirk Cousins being the world beater. If you can do that, it's really simple. If you can stop Dalvin Cook and limit the impact of the wide receivers in any type of way as far as like yards after catch and their playmaking ability, and put it all in Kirk Cousins' hands, we're going to win the football game. It's just that simple, because at the end of the game, he's going to get a strip sack. He's going to turn it over. He's going to put it on the ground. He's going to check it down when it's 3rd and 12 for an 8-yard gain, whatever it'll end up being. Right. So I just say, put it all in Kirk's hands, stop the run game, and trying to turn himself into Dan Marino or something of the like. So that's my key to the game. Put all your eggs in the basket of Kirk Cousins and make him beat you. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a great point. I was going to really, putting pressure on Kirk would be my second sort of key, but my main key is to kind of limit Jefferson and Thielen. Do what you did against the Chargers. Take those two receivers, and they have very good skill position players. You had the two high safeties. You were able to kind of limit their productivity. And the quarterbacks between Averett and Humphrey, you have to play man. You got to play man. You got to get up in them. You got to push them a little bit. Don't let them get a free option out. And I think if they can just do that and play man, I think that can limit at least. I'm not confident in this run defense for the moment. So I'm willing to allow Dalvin Cook to have his 100 yards. I'm just not willing to have the receivers go off in this game. So I'm willing to limit them. And
I think Tony is doing a little bit of positioning here for his defensive breakout player of the game.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later. But that would be my key there.
I like it. Who's your breakout player of the game defensively, Tony?
Oh, you're gonna go? Oh, you're going there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Marlon Humphrey.
There you go. I like it.
There you go. I think Fruit Punch. He's not punching the ball as he has been in the past, but he needs to step up in this game and really show. Well, everybody knows he's a great corner in the NFL, but I think he feels like he needs to show that. He's always talking every week, I need to play better. I need to do better. This is the chance to show you can go up against a number one, and I would put him on Jefferson, and I would just stick with him the entire game. So that would be my defensive guy to really be the key in the breakout in this game. I think he's going to have a really good game.
Glenn, who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Joker. Desean Elliott has impressed me a lot this year. I think that Wink blitzes him. I think that he's going to get a sack in this game, and I think he also gets his hands on a ball. Whether that's him, laying the wood and knocking the ball out of a player's hands, or he catches a tip pass or something to that nature. I think he's involved in a turnover, and as well as getting in the backfield and getting his cousins on the ground. So I like the Joker to be my defensive breakout player. How about you, Jimbo?
It's interesting. We all have defensive backs, and I'm picking a relatively unique one. I'm going with Tavon Young. I talked about Kirk getting a strip sack or something of that nature. I feel like him and Goff have this tendency of getting sacked for a fumble when the game is on the line or in the fourth quarter. I'm visioning that. I have a vision in my mind of Kirk Cousins going down in the fourth quarter, Tavon Young smashing him, putting the nail in the coffin, having a good game himself, and just kind of sealing the deal. I'm going Tavon Young.
Yeah.
But as far as projecting the future, our partner and sponsor of this show that makes it all possible is Symbol. Guys, if you haven't checked out Symbol, please do. It is the stock market for sports. Everyone gambles on a weekly basis, does fantasy, all these things to invest in sports. Honestly, how many times you guys come out on top at the end of the year? People only talk about their wins, but they don't really talk about their losses too much, right? And that's not a fun thing to talk about. With Symbol, the really cool thing is that, like I said, it's a stock market for sports. So if you know sports, if you know trends, if you are able to identify players, why not take that knowledge, make some money off of it? Just to give you guys, we've talked about this, just give you guys a little bit of an update on where we're at. We're up $2 with the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's great. That we bought a few shares at the old Bungles. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, we are down about 25 cents per share. We bought
bounce back.
Yeah, we spent most of our money with the Baltimore Ravens. With the Cowboys, we are sitting pretty. We are up $2 per share. And this is on a per share basis, guys. So that's a decent chunk of change. And then my pick here, the Raiders. We are up with the Raiders as well. If this thing will comport itself properly, we are up $3.90 per share with the Oakland Raiders.
Now we might want to sell now because they did just lose Henry Ruggs, and
they did
in a really tough situation.
But Glenn, I don't want to sell now. You know why?
Why's that?
I got 3 letters for you.
What's that?
OBJ.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a nice fit for him. And by the way, be on the lookout for a video of us talking about the potential for OBJ coming here to Baltimore.
Yeah, and so the other thing I want to say, just to wrap up Symbol here, guys, is the other great thing about it is that not only do you get the gains of buying low and selling high, like Glenn and I are referring to, you get weekly payouts per share per win. So you're getting dividends just like in the stock market. And of course, you're making that margin if you know trends and you're able to buy low and sell high. So get in there, use our promo code 410. Symbol's awesome. We have a blast with it. I find myself getting more and more obsessed with it every week. So I don't check Robinhood anymore. I check Symbol. So
and I bought some Orioles stock, and let me tell you, that's a long haul purchase right there. Okay,
that's all right. It'll pay off. It'll pay off in 3 to 5 for you.
Exactly. I'm going to let that rest and pay off down the road. But I saw a few people in the comments asking questions about the status of Chris Westry, the corner who was returned to practice after his stint on IR. And honestly, I know he returned to practice, but I didn't see any updates. So unless you guys have something, is it safe to assume that he's fine and he's on track?
He's got, I believe he has 2 weeks to get into a game. You know how when you come off, you have to now practice for at least, you have to be back in play on the active roster in 3 weeks. So I think that maybe by the Chicago Bears game, he should be active and ready to play. They'll probably set him out this game, of course, and then the game on Thursday, but then be ready for the Bears a week from next, a couple of weeks from now. So, but I
no
do know he has
or anything like that, right?
Yeah, but I know there's no setback. He has about 2 weeks left for his stint where he can practice and not be active. But then at some point they have to make him active because it's that 3-week IR type of situation. So he's going to come back, and that's going to add some depth.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, I don't want to see these cornerbacks be, end up getting injured because they're just overworked, they're overused, and obviously the guys I'm referring to are the Tavon Young, Jimmy Smith, guys who have been healthy thus far, and let's keep them that way. And I think having some more depth back there will certainly go a long way in that regard.
Well, look, gentlemen, the time has arrived. It's time to get into our heated competition. DK right now is the winner.
Of course.
And, of course, we have our weekly winners that win our shirt. You guys know it. If you don't know it, we do our weekly over-under and then closest to the pin competition. The winner will get 410 Sports Talk merchandise sent to them in the mail.
Swag.
That's right. Stuff we all get, like the great Michael Scott once said. And if you're out of the United States, we will send you an Amazon gift card. So either way, you win money or a shirt. But let's get right into it. Now, DK has ratcheted these up. I think part of that is because he wants to keep winning. So he's trying to confuse us with his intelligence, Glenn. So we're gonna take you to task this week, DK. Tony's gonna be in on it as well. We'll see if we can take you down. Make sure you guys as well get in on it. Simply leave your predictions at the end of the show in the comment section. DM us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. In that way, you are officially entered into the competition every week, and we will notify you if you won in the instant reaction preview show. But, DK, what is the first category? We got 2 offensive, 2 defensive.
Now, are we going to show DK's answers? Because you kind of moved past his offense and defensive keys.
Yeah, DK and I talked about this in the chat. Yes.
Okay, because he might feel some type of way and really
No. He knew this was coming. Well, he knows this is where he makes his hay, right here is the over-under. That's all he's really worried about.
Yeah, this is what he's looking forward to.
That's right. So DK,
and look, I'm seeing these. Lisa Ann, thank you for hoping that I win. And Iman says I'm still out here playing shoots and ladders while DK's playing chess. It's ridiculous.
That's a great line.
Oh gosh, I love it. I can't get over it. This is such good stuff. And then of course we'll end the show with our predictions to the game. So DK, you got the first one tuned up for us. What's the first over under? Let's see. So over under Marquise Brown percentage of total targets. And if I'm not mistaken here, DK calculated this based on the first, 7 games.
Yeah.
It's insane to think that a quarter of our passes are going to Marquise Brown. He has nothing to complain about. And all those other wide receivers went to other teams, have stuff to complain about. So Tony, I'll start with you. Percentage of total targets to Marquise Brown. Over, under 24.5%.
It's going to be under with the addition now of Sammy Watkins back and maybe Rashad Bateman. I think it's going to go under.
All right. Glenn, where you at?
You know what? I said under, but I'm changing it to over, okay? Because your boy is going for the W, and I'm going to say over because I think Rashad Bateman might just get an extra week to make sure we don't see any reoccurring injuries. And with him out and Sammy coming into this game after missing a few, Marquise is just going to have to get all these targets. So I'm going to say over in my bid to win this week's competition.
You already lost, my friend.
Over!
It's under. It's under, and I hate to break the news to you. But I appreciate the effort. It's going to be under. I agree with Tony 100%. The distribution of the football will be interesting to see throughout the season. here on out, as long as he's
and our man Mark Andrews. We keep forgetting about Mark Andrews.
Hey, even apparently. Nick Boyle.
Nick Boyle's back. This game.
It only takes one pass to skew that percentage, Glenn.
That's true. That is true. So, it can come down to that.
Stay with it, Glenn. Just stick with your conviction.
So,
that's
DK,
right.
Where are you going? Under. Woo, 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 woo. Team under right here.
Yep.
All right, DK, what's category number 2? We're putting him to the test, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't have enough to do. Yeah, right. He does way too much. Let's see. What do you got? What do we got here, Glenn?
So over under total passing plays of 20+ yards. Now, and the way he got here is that our season average is about 4.5 20+ yard passing plays. So
yeah.
He set it at 3.5, and we have to go over or under that 3.5. And to me, I'm going to go over. And of course, the recipient.
Wait a second. You're going over. Sorry. Okay. Apologies.
What are you trying to do here?
Sorry.
You just worry about what you're going, and don't worry about the G-man over here, because not only
you're
are they going to
your
go,
grave. That's all you're doing.
Look, not only are they going to go. Hold on, you're the only one that picked under here. Oh, sorry to spoil the rest of the guys, but you're on the island by yourself there,
That's
Jimbo.
Okay.
But not only will it be over 3.5 20+ yard plays through the air, but we're going to see 3 go to Hollywood. 3 of them are going to go to Hollywood alone by himself. This guy's going to be balling out this Sunday. So be on the lookout, and you're going to see me after the game live with a big smile on my face as this week's contest winner.
So I'm going under, as Glenn said. I'm out on island this game, and I think this game is going to be a run heavy game. 8 yards. I'm not going to say 3 yards. 8 yards in a pile of dust type game. I think there'll be a few big plays. But I think this will be a game that the Ravens know they're in control, and one of the ones you start dozing off halfway through the fourth quarter because it's a nice Sunday afternoon, it's nice weather out, and you're kind of tired. Wow. So I don't know if it's going to be a game loaded with big plays. I'm going under. Just a hunch.
Yeah. I'm going to go over for the same reasons that Glenn said, but really more distribution. I think Lamar is going to have a really big game passing-wise. I say over 300 yards passing. That's not in our stats, but that means that the ball is going to get out there for him. So I see this being Hollywood with a couple of them, maybe, to Glenn's point, maybe you'll see a Mark Andrews with a big play down the field as well, and maybe a Sammy Watkins. So I say more distribution, and I say over. You're going to see a lot of these plays as well.
Nice. DK? Over. Like Glenn said, I'm certainly on an island. That is all right. So at this point, Glenn, we'll both be 0 for 2.
I will be 2-0. You're out of your mind. I'm going to win this week, and I can already hear the nervousness in your voice. That's what I find extremely interesting. I'm booming with confidence, and I hear you, and it's just not the same. And that's okay. And I don't blame
love the energy, though. You come back every week firing away, man. You got
my son said, it's like I tell my son, I don't care if you lose 10 times in a row. You look that person you're playing, you said, not 11. Not 11 you ain't going to win. Not this one you ain't going to win. And this week, I'm going to be the champ. So we're switching to the defensive side.
As long as you're not betting money, right? Because then you end up losing your house, your dog.
Look, I only gamble responsibly, and you should always do the same when you're gambling with Symbol, which is the smartest way to gamble in our opinion. Yeah. But always do so responsibly. Now, DK, what is our defensive over/under challenge? Oh, okay, it's going to be around Dalvin Cook. So total carries for Dalvin Cook, and I think this is a good one because I was listening to a member of the the Minnesota Vikings media team, and they are always pining for more. They want to see more Dalvin Cook. They want to see him get the ball more often. They say he's not getting the ball enough. So I think this is a perfect over-under. Right now, DK said at 19.5 carries. Tony, what are you going, over or under?
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think he's going to have a really good game. I'm really just trying to make a prediction here, but I think he's going to have a really good game. And I think, to your point, the Vikings fans want to see him touch the ball a lot more. He's got great burst, and I think he's going to get it's going to go over without it. I think he's going to have 25 to 30 carries in this game.
Yeah, well, I'm going the exact opposite because I think the Ravens will be out in front, and they'll be trying to come back, therefore impeding their ability to run the football because they're going to be pushing the ball down the field. So I'm going under.
Jimmy, always picking these blowouts. How many blowouts have we seen the Ravens put on this year? Not many. And I'm not going to say they're going to do it this week, okay? This is a tough team, the Vikings, who have lost some heartbreakers. All I'm saying is...
They just lost to the Cowboys with a backup quarterback. Dak Prescott was drinking a Diet Coke on the sideline.
And I agree with you, but that might be the best team in all of football right now. And
I think it is.
To think about that, but that might be the best team in football. So I know they didn't have their quarterback, but you're talking about a team who's playing really, really good right now.
I like my squad at the bank.
Okay, I do too. All right, Dalvin Cook. I'm going to say he goes under, but not by much. I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be this blowout, all this he's saying. I think he gets about 18 carries. So I think he gets close. But again, they have a talented backup in Alexander Madison. And as far as I know, he's still going to be playing. So I think he gets a couple carries and kind of eats into Dalvin Cook's workload. So for that reason, I go under.
All right, DK.
And he's just copying off of me there. That's all that was. I saw he changed it. It was over, and then he saw what I said, and he changed. No, he did not. I just made that last part completely up. But, all right, let's move on to our second defensive over-under. What do we got, DK? All right, Kirk Cousins' completion percentage, 68.5. And this is a good one because I think Kirk Cousins can always look to his completion percentage as something he can be proud of. Now,
when he goes in the negotiating room?
Yeah, but now we all know you can manipulate it with certain things. I mean, last week they had a couple negative receptions, a couple negative passing plays, which you don't want.
Hey, they were completions.
But they're exactly right. They're completions, and it definitely pads that stat. So he set it at 68.5. Tony, what do you say? Over or under?
I'm going to go under. I don't necessarily think he's going to have that success in terms of his completions, especially with the lockdown corners that we're going to really throw at Thielen and Jefferson. So I think there's going to be a lot of batted balls, a lot of incomplete passes. So I say under.
Yeah, I'm going under as well because he's Kirk Cousins, and I understand that he's the master at padding his stats, but going up against a secondary, especially Marlon Humphrey, who is looking to bounce back, and took the criticism on the chin and simply said he needs to play better. You can tell he's been coached by one Nick Saban for sure. So I'm going to say under because of what Tony said, that the corners, I think, are going to step up in this game, play really well.
Look at this. You're all going to be wrong. And I'll tell you why. He is going to use the dump down look, the Ravens are going to drop back. They're going to force him to use those underneath throws to try and turn out these long play drives and get into the end zone. And I don't think the Ravens are going to want to allow, like Tony said, those big plays. I think they're going to have the safeties back and allow the underneath stuff and hope that Kirk Cousins makes a mistake. So for that reason, I think his completion percentage is going to be around 70%. So I go over on this one.
DK? Under.
Good. That's the one right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the only one who said over, and that's the one that will get me the W.
Exactly.
So the last two we have is our closest to the pin challenge. So if you guys are tied after our over under, this is the tiebreaker, and we use two of them just to make sure we get one sole winner. So for this one, this week we're going to do total yards, not just for the Ravens, not just for the Vikings, but them combined. So this one can be a little tough because it's going to take a little bit of math, and I'm not the best at math. I actually did some long math here. I had to carry a 1 in there, but I did come up with a number. And my number, I'm going to start off with 749 total yards from both sides. And you know how I did that? I simply took their season average and added them together.
Oh, my
That's easy.
gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
I want to win this one. I'm tired of losing.
Fair enough. Tony, where are you going?
I'm a little bit less than that, about 650. Again, I think the Ravens defensively will do well on the passing side, and they won't they'll give up some yards on the ground. But I think it's around 650, a nice round figure. I'll go with that.
All right,
total.
I'm going 702.
I really thought when I saw you typing, you were going to go 748 just to really chat my rear end. But I'm glad you did.
It's like bidding $1 on Price is
I'm dealing
Right.
with enough chapter ends with my son right now. I don't need to chap anymore.
All right, DK,
where are you going?
Nice. Okay.
725.
All right, you're close to being right, just not quite there yet.
Jeez, whiz.
Not
the
quite
confidence on this one.
high enough.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and then
love
the final closest to the pin is going to be the total score. So we're going to predict the score and take the combined total from both teams, and that will be the total there. So I'm going to go to Tony first. Tony, what's your score prediction for this game?
Well, Ravens 30, Minnesota 20. Lamar Jackson, big game for him. Mark Andrews as well. The ball's going to be spread around in the wide receiver realm. I think we will make attempts to run. It won't be as spectacular, but I think we'll win this game probably in the fourth quarter, 30-20.
Okay, Jimbo?
Yeah, so you're getting on me about predicting blowouts, and that's fine. And I'll keep saying it. I was the only one that predicted us to beat the Chiefs, and we did it. So,
but you picked us to blow out the Bengals.
I did. That's true.
Wow.
That's true. I did. But look, you know what? We're blowing the doors off the Vikings. All right? We're coming off a bye. John Harbaugh is ridiculously hard to beat, hard to out-strategize off a bye. We're getting so many guys back off a bye. I think we got a lot of momentum, and we're going to seize the moment. Seize the moment. And it is going to be 38-13. This one is going to be put to bed early.
Wow.
Baltimore Ravens are putting every nail in the coffin and then getting out the staple gun.
So you're telling me your total is 51, right?
51.
And Tony is at 50.
Yep.
And so I had to make a last-minute audible because I had the exact same total score as you, Jimmy, in much different ways. We got to that total in much different ways, but I had to change it up. So my prediction is 27-20 Ravens with a grand total of 47. I think this is a little bit closer game, but I do think that the Ravens, pull away a little bit in the fourth quarter, and then the Vikings get it a little closer by a late score to make it look a little tighter. But I do have the Ravens winning by 7 in a pretty interesting game. But DK, what do you got?
Come on, DK. Ooh. Oh, so he's got the same margin as Tony, right? A win by 10.
Yeah.
Different total score.
Yeah, the lowest total score at just 44.
DK
interesting.
might be right.
Oh, now you're already – hold on. You have the highest total score, so now you're already ready to bail?
It's going to be me or DK. I don't see it being one way or the other. Because, you remember the Broncos game? What was that
the hell
score?
Is that supposed to mean?
That Broncos game, this could be a similar turnout, right? Except that their offense is much more explosive than two-glove Teddy, right? So
two-glove Teddy.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's appropriate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here first. I'm going to win. They're going to lose.
Not a chance.
But let us know what you guys think most importantly.
Can you imagine this as teenagers? Oh,
my goodness. I was relentless. You remember me. I was just obnoxious. I mean, I'm bad now. Look how obnoxious I am. I was way worse when I was younger.
Anytime I would make someone look embarrassing on the basketball court, Glenn would just be in the person's ear so hard. It was so funny. Oh, man, it was good stuff. Great stuff.
I was the hype man. I was like the guy with the microphone at the Globetrotters, and Jimmy was the Globetrotter.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody plays their role.
And he would set people up, too. Oh, yeah, guard him. He's not, you know what I mean? He'd set people up.
He's short. Look at him. He's short. He's terrible. His nickname is the Rascal. I mean, what is he going to do? But, of course, Jimmy had some tricks up his sleeve, no doubt about it. But let us know what you guys think. Give us your over-under and give us your closest to the pin on total yardage and total score. And you can do that again in a few ways. Wait for this to be over and comment at the bottom of this video. You can send us a DM on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And any of those will get you entered in our competition. We'll announce the winner as soon as the game is over in our live post-game show. And then you'll simply DM us again with your shirt size and address, and the shirt will magically show up in the mail.
That is right.
So, yeah.
Enjoy the game, Tony. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, and by the way, guys, if you are in the Baltimore area and you're listening to some 98 Rock, you're going to hear a familiar voice pop up, who is Tony Thornton is now the traffic guy for the flagship station for the Baltimore Ravens, 98 Rock. And I was so happy to hear my man Tony's voice popping up. Let me know where to steer clear on my morning commute.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so always be on the listen because he'll make sure you don't get in them traffic jams.
There you go. Exactly. I appreciate you, man.
Yep. Thank you, Tony. You guys have
Thanks
a great one. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you at our instant reaction right after the game's over. Make sure you're here. See ya. Wait.
See you.